I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed about Apple Intelligence being delayed. Now we have to wait for a smarter Siri. Daylight savings time took me an entire week to recover from. And the worst one of all, I'm missing Marketecture Live. We'll pour one out for anyone else who is too. I'm Kate with Marketecture, and this is The Refresh, your weekly download on what went down in advertising. And on this week's episode, we're talking about Scope 3's big announcements, Meta rolling out their community notes feature, Publicis winning from the Coca Cola business, and finally, we'll do a quick update on where things stand with TikTok. So let's get into it. Scope 3 dropped two big product announcements at their inaugural Landscape conference last week. The first was brand standards, an improvement upon brand safety and suitability, and the second was an agentic advertising platform. If you've been following CEO Brian O'Kelly on LinkedIn the past couple of months, neither of these announcements should come as a surprise, least of which the agentic advertising platform. With brand standards, Scope 3 is essentially training large language models like Claude and Gemini on their clients' data to create a customized output. This ideally creates a more relevant ad experience that reduces the number of touchpoints needed before a consumer takes a desired action. Alright, let's talk about this agentic advertising platform. It's not scheduled for release until later in Q2, but it would allow those within the media ecosystem to build, create, and even sell their own AI agents. These agents can be set up to complete tasks across the campaign lifecycle: audience analysis, competitive research, media execution, ad checking, and data science tasks like performance measurement and analysis. Generative AI in its current form is imperfect, it's resource intensive, and technically complex, but someone has to start making moves towards implementing it into our media processes to ultimately transform the system. Brian O'Kelly and team seem to be taking a really solid first step towards this. Publicis and Coca Cola. Honestly, I'm trying so hard to care about this. The TLDR is that Publicis has won Coca Cola's media business in the US and Canada. Given the way Publicis has become an absolute powerhouse when it comes to media buying, particularly performance media, this is not that surprising. The rest of the business, including content and production, will stay with WPP and a smattering of other agencies. Alright, let's talk about Meta's community notes. It'll be rolled out as a beta, and the Meta will launch it nationally once they're confident that it's performing as it should. Community notes will initially launch using X's open source algorithms as its rating spaces. However, Mark Zuckerberg has said that they may diverge from these algorithms and adjust them on an as-needed basis. TikTok's April 5th deadline is ticking closer. It sounds like there are 4 contenders left with the rose, with Oracle being the primary standout. The deal is being billed as a Project Texas 2.0, but even if Oracle wins the bid to be TikTok's sole owner, that's unlikely to be enough to satisfy the law that's currently in place. We also have to consider the question of whether China will approve any deal, no matter who it's with. While everyone's maintaining their poker faces, my hypothesis is that there are still several players who have some pretty powerful cards to play. Regardless, I think we're all going to be a little bit surprised at the final outcome. Before we go, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at NBC who locked in a mega contract with the International Olympic Committee. The Summer 2024 Olympic Games are one of my favorite case studies to refer back to when it comes to thinking about what the future of media strategy and execution will look like. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching The Refresh, and we'll see you next week.